Now the most simple and quickest and best way to do this, I'd just like to show you now. All you need is an old sock, a small plastic bag, and preferably some oil. I'll show you why you need the oil. First thing I do is put the super tool inside the plastic bag, along with 1 drop of oil, or a couple of drops. That will stop the super tool from rusting, because it may be in there for a number of weeks or even months. I wrap the plastic bag tight, hopefully hold the tool completely dry. And I like to also put a rubber band around the plastic bag. Helps to just seal it all in. Next step is take the plastic bag, put it inside the old sock. I then feed the sock in between the gap, in between the seat pole and the saddle, until the super tool is directly underneath the seat pole. I then wrap the sock around the seat pole a couple of times, and all you really have to do now is tie a very simple knot. Now, provided that you tie that knot very well and very tight, there is no way that that sock will ever come off. And I have descended more than 50 different mountains using this method, and it never comes off. It cannot come off. Now, let's call this method number 2. Now, assuming all you have is a smaller sock, I'll even cut a bit off it just to make it even smaller for this demonstration. So all I have is about 4 inches of sock there. Again, just put the super tool inside the sock. Now the next step is you're going to need a shoelace. This shoelace is a bit long, so I'll just cut it in half. Take your shoelace and tie it around the sock. Again, look, there's many ways of doing this. I wouldn't call myself an expert in knot tying. Well, not a super expert. So, look, I haven't actually put much thought into this knot, and that's simply one way that you could do it. So, using this method, you need a small piece of rope instead of the larger sock. And in fact, some people might argue that this method is better because using less sock, it will be even more lightweight, because theoretically in heavy rain the sock will be saturated in water, particularly being underneath the seat pole. I probably should have tied a knot that would be easier to undo. Another method of doing this would be if you had a long sock with a hole in the end. This sock has a hole. I've actually cut that hole myself just for the purpose of this demonstration. So let's just say all you had is a really old ratty sock with holes in it, with holes in the end, as many people do. So again, I just put the super tool inside the sock, but this time I put it at the halfway point. I then slip the sock again underneath the seat pole, and then with the 2 tail pieces I tie, I think, what they call a square knot. So this is certainly the most simple, easy way to tie it on. Probably a bit messier though, with that daggy piece of sock hanging down, whereas method number 1 and 2, the homemade seat saddlebag system, is really quite invisible. A bit more about this system. Now obviously all I'm carrying is a very small super tool, but just to show you, if you did have lots of other large items that you wanted to put inside, I mean, this actually is a commercially made saddlebag. Let's just put it inside the sock just out of interest. And here's even my camera case. Look, that could be a spare bicycle tube. So what we have now is a much bigger set of tools or imaginary items in there. Again, just slip it through. Now look, that's not really the best fit, but I mean, if you didn't have a saddlebag, you know, take a piece of that old shoelace. Now, many different ways of doing this. I'm not going to tie a complicated knot, just something really basic just for this demo. So there you have it, the homemade saddlebag out of socks and shoestrings, shoelaces. And if you were to do some really rough off-road cycling, you'd probably just use a lot more rope and just wrap it many times, like so. I've got my shoes, but where did I put my socks? Damn.